This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Baker's, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Baker's worth it every time. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
This is a podcast from Minute Media.
Hashtag no music, no intro. I'm just going to apologize to the people right now. Probably sound a little congested, nose stuffy, allergies kicking my ass. But all in all, good. Ryan and I recorded another episode because, man, it's football season. I mean, it's football. The off season is well underway. We had combine day one yesterday with tight ends and wide receivers working out. Today was offensive linemen and running backs, and then the next couple of days will be defense. And so Ryan and I wanted to get on here, record a pod about just our thoughts in terms of like prospects and things like that. And then so a project I started. Oh man, it was a while ago, like more than like 5+ years ago, maybe like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, that I just started tracking all the Saints draft data since 2006. And it's a little indicative. It's somewhat indicative and somewhat it's not, because at one point, obviously, the draft in terms of what they look for changed from Ryan Pace's, list until like Jeff Ireland. And so at some point I need to go back and kind of separate the two and kind of see what the change is, but I just haven't had time to do it. But with the draft approaching, we did want to talk about like some Saints draft trends. Now, obviously with DA being the head coach, there may be some variance, but I mean, if anything's an indication of what it's been lately, like I don't think we'll see anything too crazy in variation from how Sean Payton ran things dramatically. But let's start with the biggest news Saints-wise that came out of today is Jeremy Fowler of ESPN basically reported that it's expected that free agent, free safety, Marcus Williams will not get a second franchise tag. Obviously, the Saints are hoping to sign him to a long-term deal, which then in turn would drastically lower his cap number. So if he's not getting tagged, if he's not extended before free agency, bro, it gets a little dicey.
There you go.
It's getting dicey, bro.
I think he's like in the top 10 of Greg Rosenthal's free agency 101. So he gonna get paid, bro. Young, 25. A position that's kind of getting hard to find out of college these days. Somebody that can play center field and range and can breathe, can cover and all that. Hard to find. So it's either he's gonna be a Saint or he ain't. We're gonna find out in a couple of weeks.
And we don't know what's gonna happen, right? We don't know, but I will say that. And part of it probably is, pandemic and all that. But if the Saints in back-to-back off seasons let Trey Hendrickson leave one last off season, and then if Marcus Williams leaves this off season, to quote Michael Scott, man, I don't need someone to explain it to me like I'm 5.
I mean, it would sting. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, that's what would make it sting, because it's like, okay, we chose to let Trey Hendrickson walk so we could franchise tag Marcus Williams. And, so you let Marcus Williams walk. Basically, you lose both. You lose both. And, just the effects of all of that. Like, you let Trey Henderson walk, so we drafted Peyton Turner in the first round last year, who, is still a mystery at this point. And, you basically got a 1-year rental out of Marcus Williams for no major reason. And you let him walk, it's like, just sucks. But I will say, if you do lose him, it hurts. Like, I think it cost the Saints a good 2 games, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. Like, it wouldn't be like your defense straight garbage now, but it would hurt. You know what I'm saying? So
it wouldn't be that the defense is garbage, but I do think that in terms of, and I think the most surprising thing to me if he walks is he's kind of like, if we be honest about, like, Marcus Williams is the key to Dennis Allen's defense and for what the type of defense he wants to run. It
would change drastically.
It would have to. Like, Marcus Williams, like, as Saints fans, we love bringing up how the Saints defense as when Tom Brady was the Bucs, gave him fits. Just gave him fits. Every regular season, even that playoff game that they lost, the Saints defense just stymied Tom Brady with a plethora of weapons that the Bucs offense had, just stymied him. A big part of that, and it's funny because my girl, like, I believe it was the game where this was 9-0 game, 9-0 game this past season, and she just asked, like, what is it about, like, the Saints defense that does this to Tom Brady? And I said, well, Dennis Allen isn't running like a complicated scheme. Like, it's pretty simple. It's a lot of it's a lot of what the Chiefs saw, if we're being honest with it. It's a lot of what the Chiefs saw this past season. It's a lot of two safety high.
Yep.
You have to have faith in your corners from time to time that they're going to be able to win matches one-on-one, and then you have to wisely pick and choose when you're going to double team a certain wide receiver. And so Marcus Williams in that scheme, he would either shade over Mike Evans, he would shade over Chris Godwin, like whatever the call was for that specific play. We can go back to the Green Bay game. Marshawn Lattimore had a great game against Devontae Adams, like stellar game. Like that, to me, if we're being honest, I think that is Marshawn's best game as a pro, even better than his game against Adams in his rookie season. Because
especially considering, like, Devontae Adams cooked everybody the rest of the season.
Everybody, bro. But if you go back to that game, there were certain snaps where it appeared that it was straight man-on-man, one-on-one, but Marcus Williams was just lurking in the area. Right. And so if he leaves, right, like, I'm sure there's ways to compensate that and change it. Just like you said.
Yeah.
I get it as Saints fans, especially for a free safety, single high safety. We don't, like, it's hard for, like, an average football fan to really understand, like, the impact and the range that Marcus Williams and how much he covers.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
But I will say, if he leaves, if the Saints start giving up defensively more big plays over the top.
Oh, no doubt. They will.
They will. It's period.
Yeah.
They will.
Especially, say they bring back PJ Williams to play center field, who's shown he can do it, you know what I'm saying? But he gonna get beat, like, he's no Marcus Williams, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they probably have to play more two-man, and, to keep things, they play a lot more two-man, I think. And
the cover one would have to, it would be a lot limited and running.
I think it would be much more limited, because they had that man sitting out there on the island,
bro,
where, like, literally every player is on the line of scrimmage, and Marcus Williams back like 20 yards. Just
like playing center fielder.
Yeah, man, and it's just hard. And he could do it. Like you do it because he could do it. He could handle it. We saw going back to the Eagles game where Jalen Hurts scrambling around for like 5 minutes, just running around.
I saw that play.
And Marcus Williams is going from this side of the field to the other side of the field, still knocked the ball down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just can't find that. So he's worked whatever they're going to pay him. But at the same time, I get it. If it gets to a point.
Let's call it what it is, right? The Seahawks and Jamal Adams fucked this whole shit up, bro.
Fucked it up, man.
Fucked it up.
What are you getting, 17 and a half a year or something like
yes!
that?
Yes! For someone who's like not even, and what's funny about the whole Jamal Adams thing is I remember when that trade happened. I was like, the Seahawks got fleeced.
Everybody knew it. It was like there was never a point where it's like, what? Like nobody ever thought he was worth that. Nobody.
Maybe except like LSU Twitter, who are upset today.
I would say even LSU Twitter was like, really?
Speaking of them, I think, shout out to our dude, John Hendricks. It's a light report because it's not confirmed, but he just tweeted today that a lot of rumblings that he's hearing that the London game that the Saints are going to have this season may be against the Cincinnati Bengals, bro. LSU Twitter was hot, bro. I loved it, bro. Loved it.
I'm just looking at it from a different perspective. I'm like, man, that's a dope game. Usually the London games are pretty trash.
Dope game.
I'm like, that's a good ass game right there.
Man, listen, I don't know if we can pull it off, but my girl's grandma's in Sweden.
What?
So I'm trying to see, like, maybe my first time out of the country, go to London, to the game, hook up
just make
with.
that like a whole 2-week adventure, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Hook up with Dave up there. Who else is up there? Daniel. They're both in our Discord. Both Patreon members. Been for a while. And then after the London experience, maybe swing on over to Sweden. Visit the girl's grandma, my girl's grandma, and just.
Don't go too far east now. Hot that east, boy.
But we'll see, because I can't even imagine how expensive a trip like that is. But we'll see. But it's potential, right? I already know our boy Jay Mood already heard, bro. Like Jay Mood's already gonna make it happen. He was at the last. He was at the last Saints game in London.
He good. Doing good, man.
One thing I wanted to say. I've been thinking about this a lot, right? And free agency's coming up. Draft is, month and a half away. And we've been saying this for a while. I was thinking about this when I was driving and handling some errands today, and I was like, you know what? Some people might say we're a little too pessimistic and hard on the Saints. I don't think we are. I think we're just realists. We just call shit how we see it and how it is. But be that as it may, one thing that would shut me up, like at least temporarily pacify me as a fan, is if they kicked off the offseason. I mean, I think the first priority would be bringing Marcus back. But even if that doesn't happen, if they could just show us as fans that they understand the holes that the team has, right? I'm going to give you two examples. I'm going to give you two. Denver Broncos had basically Cortland Sutton and just nothing else for a number of years.
Yep. And
leading up to that draft, like everyone was sliding a wide receiver to the Broncos. Everybody, bro. It was just like the pick. So this was the draft, 2 years ago? Yeah, I believe it was 2 years ago. Maybe it was 3. I lose count. Yeah, I think it was 2. Yeah, it was 2 because it was the Henry Ruggs draft. Yes. And so what did the Broncos do? They drafted Jerry Jeudy in round 1. They drafted KJ Hamler either in round 2 or round 3. I think it was round 2. And then I believe in that same draft, they drafted like Noah Fant.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a team that realized that shit, our offense is shitty boo-boo besides a stud wide receiver. Oh, that sounded familiar. Uh-oh. And as a team in the draft, they attacked it and they addressed it. I'm going to give you another example. Kansas City Chiefs rolling to the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago. Had some backup offensive linemen. They had some injuries. And Patrick Mahomes tried to be Superman, and as best he tried to play, he got pummeled all fucking game. He didn't stand a chance. Did not stand a chance in that game against the Bucs defense. So, as much of an enabler as he is, Andy Reid took from that game and said, man, our offensive line ain't good enough. We have this stud franchise quarterback. We got to protect him better. That offseason, in one offseason, they traded for Orlando Brown from the Ravens, gave up first round pick. He's their left tackle. Went out in free agency, signed Joe Thuney, was their guard. In the draft, they drafted Creed Humphrey in the second round from Oklahoma, going to be an all-pro center, maybe Pro Bowl center for the next 10, 15 years. And then in the later rounds, they drafted Trey Smith for the other guard position. That's how, if you're a team, you identify the need and you address it.
You attack it. Not even address it, you attack it.
Hack it. In one offseason, the Chiefs added 4 different offensive linemen. And, the Chiefs were a couple of plays away from going to their third Super Bowl in a row.
Right. They didn't lose because of the offensive line.
Right. Well, although Trigger Train was getting Orlando Brown that dick in that game, though.
Orlando talk all that shit like
he does, bro.
Left tackle.
Well, I'm a left tackle, I'm not a right tackle.
I don't know, bro.
Maybe should have stayed his ass in Baltimore. But to the Chiefs' effort, I appreciate like the just going and getting it. And,
get it. Yeah.
And now because of what? Sunken cost fallacy, they're gonna have to franchise Orlando Brown this offseason. Because they gave up the 31st overall pick for him last year. So they gotta tag him. They can't just let him walk. Right? So
you go your ass back to right tackle.
Right tackle, nigga. So that's just 2 examples of just recent teams. You know what's gonna happen, and I can tell you a team that's gonna attack it in this offseason. And they're typically a cheap team, and he don't like to pay. But the Bengals, they gonna protect Joe Burrow. Now the signings may not work out, right? Like whoever they may sign, it may not work out. But they're gonna identify players in free agency and in the draft, and I bet they're gonna add at least 3 to 4 offensive linemen. That's gonna be starting.
It's amazing too. They really do draft well, man. Like they draft extremely well.
They draft like Kaepernicks.
And they sure do. And in free agency, they've been like really just like hitting, man. But man, offensive line, they just have not. For some reason, it just hadn't really worked out. But every other position, they've hit in free agency. They've hit in the draft. Like they've just gotten paid the right guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I mean, when Trey Hendrickson got signed last year, a lot of people were like, "Ooh, that's a lot of money." Even I was kind of like, "Yeah, it's a lot of money for Trey."
You know what's crazy? If you remember, they decided. Now this is also good self-scouting too. And I know injury played a factor into it, right? They decided to let Carl Lawson go, bro.
Sure did.
And let him go.
And it made sense too.
Brought in pretty much like the exact same position, just a different player.
With his own injury issue.
Right? Carl Lawson goes to the Jets, tears his Achilles or his ACL or something in training camp.
Immediately. Like literally when he walked off the bus, just
boom.
Damn,
gone. Remind me of the Charles Bentley injury when he went to the Browns.
Oh yeah. Man, that was bad.
So 2 examples of teams that's done it. I just gave another team that's going to do it. So if as fans, if the Saints just want to show us, hey, listen, we see what y'all see, man. I gotta get some in 2 weeks, bro. I need some alerts on my phone. Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport. I need some alerts coming. Like, I gotta see. Can I get something? Like something,
bro. I'd be sweating, bro. I swear I'd be sweating, man.
Especially, I already decided, bro. Like, I'm not gonna go to the office that day. I'm just gonna work from home because I'm not gonna get any work done. Pointless, bro. If you're gonna say, you know what, we can't pay Marcus 18 mil, can't do it, you know, because then because down the pipe we got who we gotta pay.
Make it mean something.
Right, that's what I'm saying. We gotta pay CD, we gotta pay Eric McCoy. I don't know if you gotta pay Marcus Davenport or not, but you at least gotta potentially pay those two, right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna let Marcus go, I need some type of fucking Dior, Gucci offensive purchase. I need it.
Ooh.
Need it. Honestly, it sounds weird to say. I wouldn't even want Amari Cooper, bro.
Yeah.
For what he's gonna cost, I wouldn't even want him. I wouldn't.
He gonna get paid, bro. He gonna get paid, man.
Oh, yeah.
Jaguars could write him $20 million a year, like with no problem, and not even really affect them. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny, but I as soon as like that tweet came from Schefter today, like in my head, I was like, the best thing for him to go to would be like a reunion with the Raiders, bro. Like it's as poetic as would that be.
Plenty of sense.
Plenty of. But and we don't know what's going to happen. Next Tuesday is going to clarify a lot of things in terms of who's actually going to be free agents, because that's the deadline that the tag has to be put on players. Sounds like Mike Williams, the Chargers wide receiver, is going to get tagged, which makes sense because if they got cap space and you have a young stud quarterback, why not just tag him for a year and just go from there? So we don't know what the pool is. Sounds like Dalton Schultz will get tagged too, because Blake Jarwin has like this uncommon football injury where it may be like career threatening and he's not ready for the season. So basically what the Cowboys have decided to do is save $20 million, however they potentially could save it, on what the cost would be for Amari Cooper, re-sign Michael Gallup, who has an ACL injury or torn ACL. So he's probably going to get like a discounted contract. Re-sign Cedric Wilson, who every fucking Cowboys game I saw, I kept asking myself, where did he come from?
Right, yeah.
Where did he come from? Why can't we have a Cedric Wilson? Like we used to, bro. Remember, we used to have undrafted, and that probably led to the problem because Sean got over.
Exactly.
Anyway, and so it allows them to keep Dalton Schultz. It allows them to keep Michael Gallup. It allows them to keep Cedric Wilson. And basically, they just said we good with Amari. And I felt it coming. Bro. A month into this past season, I was like, this just feels off. Anyway, whatever. But just wrapping that up, if Marcus leaves, the Saints, they just got to show us something. And it would pacify it. It may not even work out, right? It may not. But it would pacify us, and it will at least show to us, okay, we eye to eye. You see the same shit we see. Because if they start free agency and there's just like crickets and just free agents just being fucking, especially like offensive ones, just being plucked and signed and shit, we're gonna have a problem, bro.
Prepare yourself, man, because I think they're gonna go goodwill shopping on offense for free agency.
Well, you say that, and I tweeted it today. I was like, man, I'm so desperate right now, man. I'd take old ass AJ Green, bro.
Oh, easily, bro. I was thinking today. I was like, I was pissed. I was driving. I was like kind of mad because I was like, man, I would love to have Gronk, but I know he probably wouldn't even want to come there.
Right.
I was like, man,
would love Gronk, bro.
Gronk block. He go. I was like, man, get Gronk up in here. I was like, oh, but he won't come to my little pissy ass team, man.
A Gronk, an AJ Green. Hey, AJ Green was making some plays for the Cardinals last season. Let's not forget. I saw a couple games, man. He was making some plays.
He'd be a good signing, man. Good signing.
One of the weirdest tag situations that has been reported or like may happen to me, the weirdest one in the league is the Browns potentially tagging David Njoku.
That's weird.
2 off seasons ago, they signed Austin Hooper as a free agent from the Falcons. And then they drafted Harrison Bryant last year. He got off his rookie season like gangbusters. Then he got hurt. And so you would think that, and David Njoku and the Browns relationship has always been kind of like weird. And like first he's like requested to get out of Cleveland, blah, blah. So to hear that they may franchise tag him, that to me, that only makes sense financially, is if they said, you know what, we want to get off this Austin Hooper contract. We're good. We're done. And just wash your hands of it. Because if so, you've invested a 4th round pick in Harrison Bryant. You got David Njoku on a franchise tag, and which is like the top, is it the average top 5 of the tight end positions in the league?
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
About 13 million, I think.
Unless they do that and then they immediately hit him with like a contract extension that lowers his number, which that would make sense. But then you have Austin Hooper. I don't know, man. When that came out, I was like, that one I didn't understand. I didn't get.
I mean, Austin Hooper hadn't been the guy for him. I mean, he didn't work.
He has not.
It never made sense. It didn't make sense for the Falcons to let him go. So, I mean, shit, he could end up back there.
Man, listen, if the Browns cut Austin Hooper, follow up that number. Hey, big head, you already know the division. Hey, big head. I had a free agent, or I had a team I was thinking about, and then it just disintegrated right in front of me. Let's get into the combine. Yesterday, wide receivers, quarterbacks worked out, tight ends worked out.
And wide receivers was moving, boy. Damn.
Man, I didn't see any of the workouts because I was working myself, was stuck in traffic for like 40 minutes just to drive 20 miles. But I was getting like text updates of like fucking 40 times and shit. And you want to talk about, like, you ever just get like that? Well, you haven't in a while, but like when you were single, like you just get that itch, like I just gotta just fuck something like tonight. Tonight. Bruh, can we get somebody?
Come on.
Somebody, bruh. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Treylon Burks.
Yes.
Please.
Yes. Just stamp it. Yes.
If they don't draft a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds, bruh, I'm going to unleash a rant that it's going to be epic, bruh. Because there's no way. And even in this draft, you texted me this earlier today. You were watching George Pickens. I watched him a couple of days ago. John Shipley, our guy who covers the Jags for Sports Illustrated, watched him a couple of weeks ago. He was on Twitter saying like he's a dog. He's going to be a steal in round 2. Christian Watson. I finally got the chance to like watch him. Reminds me a lot of fucking Chase Claypool.
That's a good one.
Like just big as shit, but can just move. Like he ran a 4.2, bro. At his size, like it's like a 4.28 at his size. If they don't come out of the first 2 rounds with at least one wide receiver, it tells me everything I need to know about this team.
It's like, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing? I mean, Dennis Allen has to know. I know he loves defense, but you can't love it that bad. Like he has to know. He has to know. Like looking at the defense, the offense his
going
defense
against
playing against in practice is like, damn, these niggas garbage.
Locking these niggas up out here.
He gotta know. He gotta know.
One thing, well, we'll see how it plays out. When the Chris Olave 40 time came out initially at 4.2, and then like they adjusted it to like a 4.38. Like, I don't know how that has such a huge fucking difference in a variance, bro. It's a huge difference. That said, it was, and we talked about this on the last episode, man. Him being underrated as a prospect this entire draft season has just never fucking made sense. It has never made sense one iota. You can argue, people can argue with me all they want and say, well, Garrett Wilson probably had like a better workout because he ran a 4.3, he's bigger, blah, blah. I don't care, man. Chris Olave is a better wide receiver than Garrett Wilson. Period. I don't want to hear it. People can argue with me. Don't care. Fuck you. It's not true. It's not true. You cannot watch their games and their tape and get me to believe that Garrett Wilson is a better wide receiver prospect. Now, that said, I'm thirsty enough that if Garrett Wilson is there at 18 and people off the board, oh, hey, Garrett. Hey. Don't know why that black man got one of the widest names of all time, but I digress. Just imagine him just walking in the hood like, oh yeah, I'm Garrett. Don't make no sense, Garrett. Bro. Garrett.
I will say, watching both of them, watching Wilson recently, I'll say the aspect that Wilson does have that Olave doesn't is he's a little bit more physical. Olave is very much like a finesse wide receiver.
Yes.
Just so smooth, like just silky moves in where Wilson, even though he's really fast, he kind of, he's a little more just kind of physical with it. You know what I'm saying?
And he's like, you can throw like jump balls or 50-50 balls.
He is a ball attacker. He takes the ball.
He's not as good as Michael. I mean, he's going to go in the first round. I don't think but there's some similarities in his game and Michael Thomas's game.
Yeah. I feel the same.
A little bit. I don't think he's as good as route runner as Mike is. But I do think Garrett Wilson's a little more explosive. Just like in speed wise. Now, that kind of brings up the next question, right? Is I know we got to pretend like Michael Thomas doesn't exist, but if you're building this team, what type of wide receiver do you want to pair with Mike Thomas? Do you want someone? And it's a weird question to ask, and a lot of people get hung up on this in regards to like, this is what got the Saints in this predicament, right? Because when Drew Brees was aging, there were receivers that they could have either drafted or potentially signed, but because Drew Brees didn't have the arm to get them the ball, they just didn't go after him. Which that is such a short-sighted way of viewing things. So quarterback aside, like you could say, well, with Jameis, I would go, let's assuming Jameis.
I don't care who's at quarterback.
I'm saying 5 years, right? However, you're probably not going to have whoever this wide receiver is in Mike for 5 years, but in 3 to 4 seasons, who is the best receiver or best type of receiver in this class to be paired with Michael Thomas? I'd be interested.
Personally, I just want us to come away this offseason with a big and a small. Not small, but I want I want another big receiver, 6'2", 6'3", He doesn't have to be a burner, but somebody that can get downfield. Just a big body that can attack in the red zone. Our red zone, was mediocre last year, man. And you need somebody that can really attack in that area, that could be a big target for Jameis or whoever plays that quarterback. Somebody that can just win those, whether it's somebody that just works it over the middle in the slot, somebody that works on the X, outside, whatever. But I think, Mike Thomas, he's a big wide receiver, but I think you give like just another like hardcore like X or the downfield threat that's big. I think that'll mean so much, man. That's why I was like George, George Pickens or Drake London or even Treylon Burks. Who knows where he goes? He ran like a 4.5. We'll see how that affects his draft stock or whatever.
I think him running a 4.5 that's like good for his size.
Oh yeah, like I thought that's
good.
Exactly what I thought he would run. Exactly what I thought he would run. He was it just fit exactly what I was like. Yeah, that's right. You know what I'm saying? But it's about the way he moves. Like
yes,
your dude moving like that is like, what the fuck is going on? But
I was trying to explain like Treylon Burks to my girl last night about like he just confused. she didn't understand it.
It's crazy. But I want a big, and I want like a Chris Olave. I want somebody, a better Deontay Harris. A better version of him. And Deontay Harris has been good, but gets injured. He's somebody that's still kind of like fitting into that wide receiver position. I want a better version of him.
I think
that can work every level.
I think a player like that, and I watched a little bit of this player last night before I just passed out. Is Sky Moore, the wide receiver who had like a really good workout, kind of like in the same similar mold as Deontay, but like better, like just as you said, like a better version of Deontay. For me, I think if it was just if I just had one, right? For me, I would go Chris Olave. Well, let me backtrack that back. I would go Jameson Williams.
Oh yeah, well no doubt.
Because I think him paired with Mike Thomas could be frightening for defenses, bro.
Just special.
Like
Jameson, say you get Jameson and you get a George Pickett later. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Man, you have completely just changed your offense.
Just
immensely.
Bro, you tweeted it today, right? Just imagine this. You get Jameson at 18. And then whether it's round 3 or round 4, whichever round it is, because I think they'll probably be there. If you draft like a Greg Dulcich, who shout out to our dude who interviewed with us at the Senior Bowl, he was tearing up the combine yesterday.
Good.
You get someone, man, he screams Hunter Henry to me. Like,
yeah, he does.
He's like it's like the long hair and what he just screams Hunter Henry type to me. But you get like a Greg Dulcich tight end from UCLA or a Jalen Weilemeyer. I watched like 2 or 3 games of his last night. He reminds me kind of like a David Njoku coming out at Texas A&M. And you just like just like you said, man, your entire offense has changed. And it just is reworked. Let's anything else from wide receiver workouts that you want to point out?
No, man, it's just think of how fun it'll be. Like on draft night, they come away with a couple wide receivers.
Us being in Vegas, bro.
Oh man, and then we get to go home and get to study, like really study who you drafted in.
Be excited to study, bro. Like yes,
that'll just be such a enthusiasm for training camp and all that stuff. And who knows how it works out. Players get injured. You just never know. They can go completely bad really quick. But it'll just be that moment of excitement where, people will be looking forward to the next Saints season, man, because it's been It's hard out here, Ray. Like it's cold, bro.
Cold, cold. Let's quickly talk about the quarterbacks, quarterback workouts. I didn't see any of them, but it seems like the consensus was shocker, shocker. Malik Willis put on the fucking show. Here's the thing that's annoying to me about him as a prospect. He is such an easy prospect to evaluate.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a hard prospect to evaluate. When we were sitting in the fucking bleachers in Alabama, just watching him just casually fucking throw the ball, warming up, it was just like, nigga, this ball coming out fire, bro. Like,
that's like the first check mark of a quarterback. Is like, is he a good thrower of the ball?
yeah, and like he was just messing around, just boop, boop.
Dude, then it's like, okay, the dude can fucking throw. Like that's the major check mark. It's like
It is,
yeah.
and it's funny because the first game I watched of his, and I got flack for it. Max was like, "You're crazy." I said he's not as big, and he's not, but there's a lot of Josh Allen to his game.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right. It's even as far as like his development.
Yeah, like his like him being inaccurate, just like Josh Allen was. He's not as big. I get it. But how they play the game,
He's thick though. He
is
dude.
like he's not like a slight dude. He's not like Tua. Like he's a big dude. He's just not like Josh Allen big. Pause.
No, he's not.
But I just watched them and I said I just saw a lot of Josh Allen similarities in him. Anyway, had a great combine. He got to go top 10, bro. He going top 10.
Somebody gonna fall in love with him. Somebody.
Yes.
I don't think he fits every coach.
He does not.
Every scheme, but somebody's gonna fall in love with him.
And I'll say this right now: if Malik Willis was Michael, Weather Brooks,
Michael Watson,
bruh, be a different story, bruh. Just saying. It sounds like, and it's funny. It's the reports was like Kenny Pickett's, like his workout was like the most consistent, which is exactly
what he is, man.
what he is, bro. I went back. I watched a little more of Kenny Pickett last night. I watched his game against Tennessee. I think that. So if people listen to this podcast, if you want to get a good view of Kenny Pickett, there's two games I would suggest you watch. One is the game against Clemson this past season, where that's a game that I've said on this podcast before, like nothing went wrong, nothing went right for Pittsburgh in that game. Like he was under siege. It was just a shit show. And then in the second half, like Kenny Pickett just kind of takes over the game. And like pretty much wills his team to a win. We're in a game that they probably shouldn't have won. It was a very impressive game, and it's ugly in the first two quarters. It is ugly. They're not blocking for him. It's rough. All his receivers are dropping passes, but he balls out in the second half. And then I watched the game against Tennessee last night, and he has a throw in that game. It's a touchdown throw against Tennessee. Do you remember when you watched Mac Jones and like Mac Jones makes this one play where he's like rolling and he throws it towards the end zone?
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Pickett makes almost the exact same throw against Tennessee.
Mm.
And I said,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yep, I know you do. Yeah. And I said, yes. So I tweeted out my list late last night. Basically just the list of players that I would want the Saints to draft in order. I'm kind of getting worn out on watching players, so I think I'm like at my limit. I don't think I'm going to watch too much more. But my list, number one player is Malik Willis. Second player, and this is in order. Second player is Kenny Pickett. Third player is Jameson Williams. Fourth is Chris Olave. 5th is Treylon Burks. 6th is Garrett Wilson. Then my 7th player, who is he's the only defensive player I have here, but it's DeMarvin Leal. Every fucking time I watch a Texas A&M game, number 8 from Texas A&M on the defensive line flashed every game I watched last season. And this is when I wasn't even watching guys like for prospect reasons, bro. Just watching football. And every time I watched the Texas A&M game, and I just saw 8 make plays over and over and over again. And I was like, who the fuck is this? It's funny because he was getting mocked like top 10, like at the beginning of like the last couple of months ago. Now he's falling. But wow. He is, I get it. But if they were to draft a defensive tackle is like a huge fucking need. And he's more, I don't even know like his true position. I think he's more of like a tweener, but he is a true defensive tackle. We'll be fine for it. Only 2 players in this draft who get my draft bay designation. If you're not familiar with my draft bay designation, that's the players that like I have a huge man crush on. Prior draft bays have been Patrick Mahomes, Todd Gurley, Kadarius Toney off the top of my head. I've had others. I've had ones that haven't worked out. LaQuan Treadwell was a draft bay. Didn't work out. But my 2 draft bays this draft season is Malik Willis and Jameson Williams. Probably only 2 that are going to be my draft bays this season. That said, even if Jameson Williams is there at 18 or Chris Olave is there at 18, if Kenny Pickett's there at 18, if they're on the board, I think you just got to go quarterback, man. It's just the positional value of drafting a quarterback that you could have on a rookie contract for at least 4 seasons. And if he ends up being good, I think Kenny Pickett's going to be good. He's not everyone's cup of tea because he's not like exciting.
No, he's not. But I just see, it's similar to Mac Jones, man. Where he's going to do what's asked of him. He's going to make the right throws. He's accurate.
Look, they was killing that nigga for his hand size, though. 8'9". Bro,
man.
Some guys out here would love 8'9". I'm just saying.
It's small, though, man. Like, and I know, like, our initial responses to poo-poo that, like, oh, that don't mean nothing. Like historically, it does. Historically, it means something, man. Like, it's palpable. But he wears the gloves. He wears the gloves for a reason.
What was Teddy's hand size? I'm just asking.
It was about 9 1/4, I think. He had small hands, but they weren't as small.
Damn, Kenny Pickett got small hands,
like real small hands. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so he's gonna need the gloves because NFL regulation balls are big, like they're bigger than college balls, and they have their PSI, the Flakegate. We know all about that. They have the PSI limits and all that stuff. So it's just something you gotta watch for. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how it works. I remember, the practice we missed at the Senior Bowl. I
was there. I watched most of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember a lot of reports about him kind of struggling in the rain and stuff like that.
Can I say one thing to that? Everyone was fucking struggling. Like,
I knew that. Yeah,
it was like
it's the rain.
Yeah, like everyone was coming after Kenny Pickett. I was like. It seems like it was like, I don't know, like directives, because I was there in the rain, tweeted out a picture of like me being rained on, my glasses getting fucking soaked, everything. Every quarterback for that team, because I didn't say for Malik Willis's team when they came out, I left early to get back. Every quarterback was struggling with ball security. That just throw that out there.
Do you feel like Desmond Ritter is getting kind of underrated, bro? Because it's like, man, that dude played a long time, man. I feel like he's been playing like most of my life. It's like this dude been playing, bro. He's been good. Like, he's been a good player. Like,
I feel that he's a better game. Like he's a better game player than he is a practice player.
No doubt.
Does that make sense? No doubt. Like, because you watch his games and he can play, man. Like, he's a decent quarterback. Now. If they miss out, like this, just imagine this. And I don't know if it would happen because I think there's too many other teams like the Lions or whatever that would probably take him. in like the either bottom of round 1 or early round 2. But could you like just imagine the situation? I know it probably wouldn't be the most ideal, but I wouldn't hate it. Like if they go wide receiver at 18, and in the second round you can get like a Desmond Riddler.
I wouldn't hate that at all.
I wouldn't hate that at all, man. Just sign me the fuck up. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad with Desmond Riddler in the second round. I wouldn't be mad at Sam. Sam Howell. He was. Everyone has different opinions on him, but like I thought he was as impressive as he could be in like the Senior Bowl practice.
Exactly. Because I had no like preconception of him at all. Like at all. I don't know his history. I didn't watch him. Nothing. That was my first time seeing him. And I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just like, oh, yeah, I could see him playing in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? He has, he's not perfect. Has some things that it would need to work on, but I could see him, if things got figured out, being a nice, functional, solid, good quarterback in the NFL,
For sure. All right. It's getting a little late, especially there. So I want to just briefly hit on the Saints draft trends. So I started this, like I said, beginning when I was like super fucking still like just, oh my God, the draft, I love it. It's my life. And I think I started it when I was doing Draft Mecca, I believe is when I first, Yep, sure was. And I just wanted to like analyze the Saints drafting trends because at that time, we had been one of the few teams that had been able to keep the same head coach since 2006. And you could actually like following the trends, they would mean something because it's the same person. Now, if you have a different head coach every 2 years like the Giants, you shouldn't like the trends don't matter because you're having different people come in. So, but with the Saints, even now, I know Sean Payton's gone. I still think the past trends may still be indicative of how they may go. So, since 2006, just really quickly, I think I've updated these numbers. They have drafted 11 cornerbacks, 11 safeties. They drafted 10 linebackers, which is wild.
Wow.
Only technically, I guess it's 3 quarterbacks if you include Tommy Stevens' fiasco in that. What, in terms of the positional wise, what is the highest round you think, or what is position that gets drafted the highest? At least,
I would think safety.
Close. It's in the top 5, but the position that gets drafted the highest since the Saints have been drafting is actually
D-lineman?
Been cornerback.
Cornerback. Okay.
Yeah, it's been cornerback.
Malcolm Jenkins was a cornerback. I forgot.
Yes. Yeah. So like the highest is cornerback. The second highest, surprisingly, is defensive tackle. Because we had Cedric Ellis, we had Sheldon Rankins, and then David Onyemata. Like the average it pushes it up in terms of when they're drafted high, followed by safety, and then defensive end, and then to round out the top 5 is offensive tackle. So those are the positions that the Saints historically draft the highest in the draft. What I'm going to exclude quarterback, but what are the positions that is like the lowest that they draft?
I would say guard, and probably tight end.
Yeah, you hit the first one right out the gate. It's 100% guard. The average round that they draft guards is 4.75. Which means which is like middle of the 4th round, closer to the 5th round is where they typically have drafted their guards historically. Tight end is 4.33. So Jimmy Graham was a 3rd round pick. Troutman was a 3rd round pick. And then you had what is it? Elise Mack, Alize Mack, whatever.
Crazy. Yeah.
Right? Wide receiver, the one we've been talking about the most this whole offseason, last couple of off seasons.
3 point something?
4.
Mm.
Their average round of where they draft receivers historically since 2006 is 4. The highest.
It's pathetic.
These are just facts. These are numbers. 2. Think about this, Ryan. I'm looking at the facts right now. There have only been 2 wide receivers that the Saints have drafted in the first round since 2006.
Brandon Cooks and Meacham.
That's it. That is it. Then you have obviously Michael Thomas was round 2. And here's the crazy part. So just for people listening. So again, just to explain it, when we say the average mean, when I say the positional mean by round, that means that by average, if you take all the rounds or whatever that the Saints have drafted and you divide that by the number of wide receivers that they've drafted, the average round that they drafted wide receiver is round 4. Or is it like in the 4th, around the 4th round, give or take, which is crazy. Ryan had it right, hit it on the head in terms of like the absolute lowest is guard. It's like 4.75. So that's low. That's low 4th round towards like 5th round. Running back is 4.14. So that's around like 4th round. I think the only draft running back that dropped in the first round was Mark Ingram or Reggie Bush. So that's 2.
Hilariously, they focus a lot on defense in the draft.
Yes. Well, and that seems to have been a trend, regardless of it's Ryan Pace or Jeff Ireland. Just seems to be a trend because every defensive position, except for linebacker, the average mean cornerback average mean is 3.18, which means that essentially the cornerbacks that they drafted have been either in the 3rd round picks or higher. Safety's about 3.5. Defensive end is 3.5. Defensive tackle is 3.25. Linebacker, 4.7, bro. And then offensively, the lowest is technically quarterback, but in terms of Ryan hit it on the head is 4.75 for guard. The highest offensively is tackle, which makes sense because obviously that's one of the most important positions in football, offensive line. Yeah. Tackle is 3.85. So they've drafted their tackles lower end of round 3, maybe top of round 4. So I believe these numbers are updated. I really hope they are because I've updated them recently. Let's talk about positional hit rate, which means that per position, have the picks been a hit or not a hit? So there's a 2-way tie. No, sorry, it's a 3-way tie for the highest positional hit rate that the Saints have drafted since 2006. Let me hear your guess of what those positional hit rates are.
Oh, I'd say wide receiver, defensive end.
That's 1.
And running back?
Yep. That's the second one. The one that you missed is offensive tackle. So I guess it's like Armstead, Ramczyk, Strief. Not everybody? I feel like there's more.
I'm about to say.
So Strief, Bushrod, Armstead, Ramczyk, and then the misses were Charles Brown, Tavon Rooks, and fucking Rick Leonard, bro.
Damn.
Fucking Rick Leonard. You said wide receiver, right? So the positional hit rate for defensive end, 57%. Running back, 57%. Offensive tackle, 57%. That's real good, bro. That's real good. So that's the like odds is that if the Saints would draft that position, they typically hit at it. Wide receiver was your guess. You were 1% less. Wide receiver is 56%, which goes just back to our argument of why it's so frustrating why these guys have not invested in wide receivers, because when they draft them, they draft good ones.
Yeah.
They draft good ones. And then other positional hit rates, cornerback is 45%, safety is 45%, defensive tackle is 50%. The lowest, well, except for you already knew it, bro.
I don't need those stats for that. I got my eyes.
16 points.
He weren't a saved it. Really.
Saved it, bro. Saved it, bro. 16.6%.
That's pathetic, bro.
Is there a hit rate when drafting linebackers? That's even me being nice, and I included Caden Ellis because he was a 7th round pick as a green. As a green, bro.
Caden Ellis a green, bro.
I'm saying he was drafted in the 7th round. He's still in the league.
It's a good green. I'm just saying he probably wouldn't start for half the league.
Yeah. But he made some plays this season though.
Yeah, he's a green. I agree that he's
the only one that I kept going back and forth on, bro, was Anzalone. To me right now, he's a yellow.
Yeah. Damn, I don't know.
I mean, he started for the Lions last season, but he was also ass for them last season. So
he's a Jag, you know what I'm saying?
Excuse me. He's now become a Jag, unfortunately. So that is 16.6%. That is also with that is 12 linebackers drafted.
Jesus.
That's 12 linebackers drafted. That is not good. Another thing that I did, or I started to do was, and it's kind of hard because all the fucking realignment and shit in college football with conferences, so it may be a little skewed. But I wanted to do by conference their hit rate. So if they're drafting certain players by a certain conference, what that hit rate is. The most, this is easy. The most players that they drafted from a conference obviously is the Big Ten. No big surprise. The second highest is oddly the ACC.
Yeah, no, they like ACC,
which is weird. And speaking of liking ACC, the numbers show that their hit rate when they draft from the ACC is 12.5.
Jesus.
12.5, bro. So I'm going to list all the players that they drafted from the ACC. Okay. Ian Book, Alize Mack, Rick Leonard, Kareem Moore, Aquadine Muhammad, green. Sheldon Rankins, he was a yellow. Stephon Anthony, big ass red. PJ Williams, green. Andrew Tiller, green. Johnny Patrick, red. Patrick Robinson, green. Jimmy Graham, green. Matt Tennant, red. Chip Bond, red. Stanley, whatever, red. Demario Presley, red. Hey, if anyone listens to this fucking podcast in the Saints organization, I know no one does, but if one does, please stop fucking drafting from the ACC. Please.
Especially linebackers. It
has not been kind. Yeah, they drafted 2 linebackers that just did not work out. That when I calculated, I was like, God damn, what? So the conference that they drafted from the most, it's 19 players from the Big Ten, has a hit rate of 47.3, which it's pretty good. Obviously, the numbers kind of get skewed because you draft so many players from that one conference. But typically, if they draft from the Big Ten, the Big Ten has been very good to the Saints. Pete Warner, Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, Michael Thomas, Von Bell, Malcolm Jenkins, Tracy Porter, Rod Ninkovich, Jack Strief. You can't argue with that. Can't argue with that. As of right now, the conference that has the highest percentage of hitting when they draft in that conference. You probably could guess it. What conference do you think it is?
SEC.
SEC, man. SEC. Eric McCoy, which again, depending on when I did this, the SEC, Texas A&M would have been considered the Big 12, but whatever. Eric McCoy, Ceedee, Will Clamp, Alvin A.K., John fucking Jenkins, Mark Ingram, Al Woods, Robert Meacham, Roman Hopper. They go in SEC, which again, like you said, it makes sense. It's the strongest conference in football. Typically always playing for national championships in the SEC. It just makes sense. I just like doing this each year just to get like a general sense and feel, because I do think, I mean, it's just not with drafts, it's just human life. Like the past can be very indicative of the future. And so last year alone, they drafted Pete Warner, Big Ten, Ian Book, ACC, Landon Young, SEC, 2020, bro. 2 Big Ten players, Cesar Ruiz, Zach Bond.
Jesus.
Not working out. But I do, and I know, and I said this on the pod before, something that I've noticed ever since the Jeff Ireland, time has switched in terms of him leading the draft room, is before, when those Ryan Pace drafts, man, there's a lot of red.
Yeah.
A lot of red. So much red. Then starting in 2016, that came a lot of green. And then the 2 drafts to this day that has had the biggest impact on this team is the 2018 draft with trading up for Davenport, Traquan, and then they just fell asleep the rest of that draft, bro. Rick Leonard, Natrell Jamerson, Kareem Moore, Boston Scott, when Will Clapp or hits, Boston Scott's not with the team anymore. And then obviously 2020, which we've repeated at nauseum in just terms of just how it's the worst draft than Sean Payton's career.
It's terrible.
It's worst. I mean, because I remember like on Twitter a couple of months ago, someone was trying to argue like the 2014 draft was worse. I was like, we got Brandon Cooks. Like
that alone. Like, just
stop it. So that's why this upcoming draft is so crucial. Anything from like the numbers or like the percentages that you heard that perked your ears or your attention or you found interesting?
It just makes me feel like, in the first couple rounds, I expect an Ohio player. I expect, maybe a Georgia player or an Alabama player. I think those colleges would be in the mix at some point during this draft. Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State.
Okay, so let's.
I even threw Texas A&M in there.
You said Georgia. Okay. Oddly enough, they've only drafted 2 players from Georgia.
Yeah, they don't draft from that.
No, but they did just win the national championship.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
I think they're going to go to that well.
So Georgia, obviously everyone talks about the whole Ohio State connection in terms of the Saints. I just put up the list. The list is Pete Warner, Marshawn Lattimore, Michael Thomas, Von Bell, who's no longer with the Saints, Malcolm Jenkins, and Antonio Pittman. So they've drafted. It is, bro. Besides Antonio Pittman,
that's a good ass list, bro.
That's a great list.
That's a great fucking list right there.
Hey, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, 18. I'm just saying.
Keep it going. I'll take either one.
And then what was the third school you said? You said Georgia, Ohio State. What was the other one?
Alabama or Texas A&M. That could be in there.
Let's see. Alabama.
I don't think we got
it's only been 3. It's only been Mark Ingram, Roman Harper, and Vinny Cersei.
Yeah, it's not a lot of people. Oh, Vinny. Hey,
Vinny. And then the only player that they drafted from Texas A&M was Eric McCoy, but obviously he was a hit and a big hit. So it's I love compiling this information, this data. I'm pretty sure those numbers are right. Maybe they're not. If they're not, whoops. But I'm pretty sure they are because I was redoing most of them yesterday, like prepping for this episode, and just wanted to do it just kind of for fun. It's just this is the shit that I love. I wish I had more time to spend on it and do it later this draft season when my girl has the time, when all the combine results is posted and all that. We're gonna do what we did last season as well, in which she will statistically take by position, like the workout numbers for every Saints player that they drafted in the draft, like quarterback, linebacker, wide receiver, blah, blah. And then she'll take that and she'll compare the measurables, like the combine workout numbers, and then compare that to all the incoming players in this crop of draft. And she did it last year, and every player that was broken down by position on the list that she gave me, they drafted last year, bruh. Like, which is interesting because it's like, well, because the question, and she even, as a stats person, she even brought that, she was like, I don't know if this is indicative of the Saints or would this just be kind of just the league basis, which is kind of hard, like, it's kind of hard to tell, you know what I mean? But all we can do is put in the numbers that they drafted from players that they drafted by that position and compare it to the measurables of players coming like the draft prospects coming in. So,
well, we heard them say it. We heard Mickey Loomis talk about it. They look at the top 5 or top 10 players in the NFL, how they grade them. The personnel department in the Saints, how they grade them. Take the top 10, and they take their measurables, their workout numbers, and all that, and they create a prototype database. And they take that, adapt it to what the coaches want, tweak it how whatever, and then they take those combine numbers and workout numbers from prospects and compare it to that. So if your girlfriend can like figure out like the top 10 top 10 players for each position, and then extrapolate that and then compare it to the college workout numbers, that'd be dope.
Yeah, I mean,
not to put it to work with nothing, but you know what I'm saying.
So it's a top 10 for each position?
Top 10 for each position. But we don't know the Saints grades. We don't know how they grade players.
Right. That's where it gets. But like you could have like a solid. Like you wouldn't even need top 10. I guess top 10 is a better
top
range.
5. Do top 5.
Yeah.
But it's going to be Aaron Donald, and you know what I'm saying. Like you could figure out the top 5.
T.J. Watt.
Monte Adams, and Charles Buser.
That's very, very interesting. And I saw you tweeting about it today, and we know how much these dudes love fucking Spark, Score, Raz.
Spark, Scores, Raz, all that. They use it. They use it. All of it.
One thing, just going back to data real quick before we wrap up and get out of here, is their positional hit at defensive end is 57.7 or 57%. I know we don't know if he actually exists as a person. We think he might. That does give some hope for Peyton Turner.
It would be huge, bro. If he exists and he's a guy that could be like potentially good, not even great, but just good.
Yeah,
That'd be huge, bro. Just huge with his defense, bro. Like
so these are the edges that they've drafted, excluding Peyton Turner. Rob Ninkovich, who didn't work out for the Saints, but then became a damn good player for the Pats, and Sean Payton says that's his biggest regret. I roll. Greg Romas, Pittsburgh.
Greg Romas, baby.
Cam Jordan, Haloi Kakaha, Aquadine Muhammad, Trey Hendrickson, Marcus Davenport. Not a bad list of edge rushers, bro. I get it. I know we until we see it on the field, we will still bag on them. That's just what we do. But history has shown that the Saints typically know what they're doing in drafting edge rushers. One more point, because I see Kakaha on this list, man. They drafted Haloi Kakaha, and this man had like 3 ACL surgeries in fucking college.
Legs were linguini. He was still making plays, bro.
Man, he put it on Tyron Smith in one of those Cowboys games one time. I was like, oh shit, Kakaha. I said that to say this. If these niggas pass on Jameson Williams at 18, and if they get asked like during like their little fucking presser, like the injury, blah blah, he didn't have no legs. Kakaha had no legs, none, no knee cartilage. Bro, same thing for the guy who was in the biopic, Kyrie Ford. He didn't have no cartilage in his knees. He was falling asleep in fucking meetings.
And deserved to fall asleep in meetings.
You're telling. I don't want to hear it. I'm saying it right now. If Jameson Williams there at 18, I don't know them niggas. Don't try to say if we were worried about his injury, blah blah. Fuck you. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. History has shown that players with no knees is a Saints specialty that y'all fucking love. Get out my face,
man. George Pickens, man.
Look, he got knee concerns too. He got some knee issues, bro.
It's ACL. He tore his ACL in the spring practice. Came back like the last 1 or 2 games. Balled out, man. Good player though.
He is. We have a type. Okay, that's it. Wrapping up. I'm glad we did this now because all the offensive positions worked out. The defense is going to work out these next 2 days. Woohoo, good for them. Don't really care about defense at all, except maybe a tackle. And then just going over the calendar dates for the upcoming season. Tuesday's the big day because that's a tag deadline day around the league. And then after that, following week, free agency starts on the 16th, which is like 2 Wednesdays from now. We're gonna have to do like a free agency frenzy podcast the day of free agency, bro. I'm ready. I am ready to be hurt and disappointed again because I just know what's gonna happen.
They're working on that cap now, baby. They're working on the cap. Don't freak out. Don't be worried if you don't know what the Saints cap number is, how much space we got. All that shit's being worked out. The media won't know it all. It's happening.
You said the Saints have they work like a different deadline than everyone else. It made me think of like when you have your car payment or whatever, you got like a certain number of days before.
It ain't really late.
The late charge ain't hit yet.
It's like 5-6 days. It ain't really late.
The only reason I thought about that is because I called because I was trying to change my due date for my car to the 15th instead of the 13th because I get paid on the 15th of every month. And they were like, "Oh, well, we can't change it because it's a lease. But you get like a 10-day grace period before you get a late charge." And I was like, "Oh, that's not what the Saints do with the salary cap."
That's it. They know those dates.
Yeah, we don't. But we got y'all covered for this off season. We're excited. We're ready for it. Vegas. We ain't getting a lot of responses. I haven't got anything in my DMs. I don't know if you got anything in your DMs. If nothing,
being there like Will Smith.
Bruh, even if it's just me and you, like it might just be us, bro. We gonna have some drinks and we gonna be in front of computer live streaming, and it's gonna be fucking lit. I don't care. Okay. It's gonna be like the draft Negro version of like Mystery Science Theater, bro. Just jokes flying. That said, if you are serious about Vegas and the draft party, please start RSVPing and letting Ryan and I know via DM. You can DM us on Twitter. You can send a DM to the Instagram. It doesn't matter how you let us know, but please let us know because we do have to start prepping if people are joining us in terms of venue size. It is very, very important that this gets communicated. It is seriously happening. My shit's already purchased. Ryan's shit's going to be purchased here soon. We're meeting in Vegas for the draft. We're going to do a live stream. And if there's enough people, we're actually going to do like a live draft party while we're recording like an episode, live streaming. So please let us know. We got some time. The draft is like a month and 24 days away or some shit like that, 23 days away. So please, if you're serious, let us know. Anyway, thank all y'all. Be prepared. Shit's about to start popping off the next couple of weeks. We got you covered. Any shit happens, we'll have a fucking emergency podcast episode. I'm sure we're gonna have one at some point this offseason for free agency. But we appreciate all you guys, all you girls, anyone who supports us. Thank you so much. We're out.
Peace.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Baker's, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Baker's worth it every time. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.